Hi, I'm Emma and I'll show you how you can add supplier data into your model in Mobius. Until now we've usually used database datasets to model purchase products or services that we buy in. But actually if your suppliers do LCAs, then you can also add their specific data into the software and make a more representative LCA. So let's try that out. In this example, let's say that we have this t-shirt factory, and recently we've also started to add blazers that we sell with the t-shirts. We don't make them ourselves, so we buy them in elsewhere, and our supplier actually did an LCA, so we're gonna enter their data into the tool. So what does this supplier data look like? This is called an environmental profile. I got it from our other software, Helix, where you can export this, and it's just an example that we're gonna use today. What you see is that it contains some small information, very little about the product and the model, and then we have a results table. This can take many different shapes and forms, but the thing they have in common is probably this information and also the results table. So before we can start importing this into Mobius, we need to check some things, and the first thing we need to check is per what unit this document has been calculated. In this case it's calculated per one piece of blazer, and we're also modeling per one piece of blazer, so that's fine, we can just copy the numbers. But sometimes you might need to scale these numbers, so this is really important to check. Then the second thing we need to check is the method that this document has been calculated with. So here the method is the SPK bepalingsmethode. This is a Dutch construction sector standard, so it's actually not very applicable for t-shirts, but we're just using it for this example. And what's really important is that this method matches your method that you're using in your model, because you can only use data that is calculated using the same method, and they are calculated in a certain way, and you can't combine methods because they simply don't have the same impact categories or the same calculation method. So this you really need to check, and if this is the same you can use the data, and otherwise you need to go back to your supplier and ask if they can use a different method. Now that we've discussed that, we can start putting the data into Mobius. How we're going to do that is by adding a sub item here for the custom impact, so I'm going to call it blazer like this, per piece, and then one piece. Now to start adding the custom impact, just like when we're using a database dataset, we click on add impact, but instead of using this tab with the database search, we're gonna go to the third tab, the custom impact tab, and here you see a list with all the impact categories that are in this method. We can fill out the list here and click save when we're done. You can imagine actually that copying and pasting numbers from a PDF is not very convenient. So what we usually do is use an online tool, you have a lot of them available, to convert the PDF into an Excel file, and then from the Excel file you can easily put in the numbers. So let's do that. So now we have our Excel version of our environmental profile and Mobius next to each other, and what I did to be able to put in the numbers easily is convert these numbers from a scientific notation to a normal regular number notation. Before we start copying and pasting, we need to know which column to copy and paste. And we see here A1, A2, A3. Those are different production modules. So they all together form the production phase of this product. And I'm not going to go into a lot of details here, but we have other resources about this. So generally, when you're using data from a supplier to model purchase materials, you want to use A1 to A3, so the full production, and then the transport to your site, which would be A4 for them. In this case, we'll have to model the transport separately, but you want to at least use A1 to A3 for that. So let's use this column. Here we see the abbreviations, and we also see them here, so we can just copy and paste the right column into the right place. So for example, this one, and then this one. I could go on. What is really important if you're using custom impacts is that you're actually inputting data for all of the categories that you're going to look at, because otherwise in some categories your result will be incomplete and you will have a too low result because this blazer will not be included, for example. In this case, because I'm just doing an example, this is enough categories that I'm going to paste, but normally paste them all. So now I'm going to press save to save my custom impact, and here I can then see what the impact is if I switch to the category that I inputted for. So for example, for this one I put some impact, and you can see the impact now here. So in this video I've shown you how you can add your supplier data into Mobius using the custom impacts feature. If you want to know more about this or about other features, we'll have a lot of resources available, so you can just check them out. Good luck doing your own LCAs.